bring in Arizona Congressman Andy Biggs. Congressman, thanks for being with us. Good Saturday to you.
Thanks, Leland. Good to be with you.
This brings up an important question. If the president, and for that matter members of Congress, are so upset over how the Obama administration handled the Russian hacking and Russian attempts to influence the election, why is the administration and why aren't Republicans in Congress pounding the desk demanding more be done against Russia right now as punishment?
Well, I think people want to get something done against Russia. There are some investigations ongoing right now. But that belies the bigger problem here, and that is the previous administration's absolutely feckless foreign policy. And that's what's nested. This issue is so critical because it's nested in that bad foreign policy that existed before.
Right, but if it was bad foreign policy before, the President of the United States from January 20th on could have radically changed foreign policy as it relates to Russia, been much tougher, come down much harder on them. That hasn't happened. Well, I think that it has to happen. I mean, we have to change the entire direction of the foreign policy of this administration, and that's up to the President to do largely because he drives that, but with Congress's support. But right now, he can't even get all of his administrative appointees through Congress. So there are some reasons there's also a lot of people he hasn't appointed.
That's correct. That's correct.
So it would be fair to say that you have an issue with how the administration is handling the issue of U.S. foreign policy towards Russia.
Well, I think it would be fairer to say that I'm expecting and anticipating that we're going to do something to really get to the bottom of this Russian intervention into our election.
Well, but there's a difference between getting to the bottom of it in the investigation side and then punishing them for it. If you read this Washington Post report and believe part of it, which at least the president seems to do because he's citing it and he has access to the same intelligence that President Obama did. If you read this report, it would seem as though the intelligence is pretty conclusive in terms of what Russia did and why. So why not advocate for really punishing the Russians strongly, swiftly, and effectively?
Well, I think we are. I think that we are advocating that. But I think that the problem
Tell me what you think the president should be doing differently vis-a-vis Russia.
Well, I think that one of the things that he has done, he needs to send some people home from Russia. He needs to take a look at some of the properties that we and benefits that we give to Russia, close those down. Those are diplomatic type of measures that can be taken that would influence, I believe, Russia.
That's what President Obama did. That was the same thing that you said was so feckless, was kicking out 50 or so Russian diplomats, declaring them persona non grata, and closing the two fronts for Russian intelligence. So
no, that's not what the Obama administration did. The Obama administration set up for 8 years in a foreign policy situation where they would say, we're going to come down hard. Let's say line in Syria. But we didn't do it. We lost credibility and respect throughout the world. But what President Trump has got to do, he's got to rebuild that credibility and respect. And so, yeah, he can take those diplomatic relationships and use those. But you're right.
Congressman, that's
exactly
what the Obama administration did in the last couple of weeks of the administration. They kicked some Russian diplomats out. They closed diplomatic facilities that were cover for intelligence activities. And that's what you just said the Trump administration should do. So what should the Trump administration do that's different and tougher on Russia? I'll give you an example. They are now intercepting U.S. Air Force planes with fighter jets that are armed with weapons. That is at very best unsafe, and as folks will say, this is how wars start. Should perhaps President Trump send the U.S. Air Force fighters up to intercept these guys? Should we start harassing Russian planes that are flying in international airspace as well?
Well, what we have, yeah, what you're talking about is jumping into a military situation to resolve this issue. But what I'm suggesting is that what the Obama administration did was too little too late. I said those things are not bad, but I didn't get to finish my thought, which is there are other things you can do diplomatically and economically. We have a tremendous ability economically to impose our will on the Russians. And with those types of sanctions, money transfers, exports into Russia, from the United States. Those types of things we control.
Yeah, well, the president certainly controls them. So far, he has not exactly been excited about any action in Congress to increase sanctions, but we'll see if, with your persuasion, he does. Come back and talk to us about it as the bills come up, Congressman.
We'll do that.
All right.
Thanks, Leland.
Thank you, sir.